Hi, everyone. Welcome to Author Pep Talks once again. My name is Bekah Brinkmeier, and I am one of the author coaches here at AutoCrit and the coach of Team Plancer for our Novel 90 Writing Challenge. Shout out to Team Plancer. Let me say that as we get started on this topic, which is one that feels very personal to all of us, let me say this. If you showed up to this session, this pep talk, you belong here. You care about writing, you care about stories, and you've probably got at least one idea buzzing around your head at any given time, maybe a dozen more in the notes app of your phone. So let me say this clearly. If you've published or never published, you are already a writer. It doesn't matter if you ever publish. It doesn't require someone to give you permission. It does not require perfection. Right now, you're already a writer. So let's talk about what this means and how we can kind of change our mindsets. I know that for me, there was a long time that I believed that I wasn't a real writer because I didn't want to go the traditional publishing route. That somehow being indie published, despite the successes that I found, wasn't real enough. I've talked to so many folks that say because they've never published, that means that they don't have any authenticity as a writer. I've talked to people that feel like because they only want to tell a single story, maybe for themselves or their family, that makes them not a real writer. And I am here to put those beliefs to bed because you are a writer. You are already a writer. So, who's ever felt like a writing fraud? Sound familiar? You wouldn't believe how many writers, good ones, passionate ones, say these exact same things every single day. These thoughts, though, they're not evidence. They're not backed up. They're just stories that you're telling yourself. And just because you think something doesn't make it true, okay? We don't gatekeep the identity of writer based on X number of publishing contracts. That makes no sense. We don't gatekeep calling yourself a writer based on how many words you write per day or per week or per month. We definitely don't define who gets to be called a writer based on the discipline or lack thereof of your writing routine. That makes no sense. Real life is messy. Energy comes and goes. And guess what? You're still a writer. You write. A writer is someone who writes. And I want to explore kind of further redefinition with this. A writer, despite what so many of these not so inspirational blog articles that I've been reading lately, a writer isn't someone who hits 2,000 words every single day without fail at a beautifully organized desk while sipping artisanal tea. There's a bird chirping over delicately, not intrusively. In the background, a dog asleep at their feet, and everything just flows through them with cosmic brilliance. I am a writer. I have never had a moment like that at all. As I'm looking at my desk, which I am very grateful you can't see right now, I see a pile of business cards from my most recent signing, a lonely spoon, one, two, four things of chapstick, some cheese and crackers, one, two, three beverages, my writing notes notebook, my AutoCrit notes notebook, a beautiful little coaster. I don't know if you'll be able to see it that says "Be careful or you'll end up in my novel." Three different headphones because one can never, and my little sign that says "Trust me, I'm a professional," as well as my spare glasses and my computer glasses because I'm the level of glasses wearer that I now have to have three different kinds. And that's just this section of my desk. That doesn't even include my desk table that's over here, the thing that was supposed to be for plants but actually holds writing reference books, and the really truly chaotic situation that is my bookcase. I don't have a single aesthetic situation in this office. Does that suddenly make me not a writer? If anything, I think the chaos in here feels more authentic than anything else. A writer is someone who shows up for themselves and for their work. Sometimes it's with some level of organization, other times it's with chaos. A writer is someone who keeps trying, even if their writing sessions are those 15 minutes squeezed between other responsibilities, even if it's sessions that are spent on your phone while you're waiting. If you write anything, a poem, a caption, a messy journal entry, you're building your writing life. No one starts out polished. Everyone needs to start out present. And that's enough. You're a writer. And this goes back to what I talk about a lot on our pep talks is that your mindset matters. Your mindset fuels your habits. Okay? Here's something powerful. Your identity or your mindset shapes your behavior. This is scientifically proven. When you see yourself as a writer, when you claim that identity, you are statistically more likely to act like one. When you believe that you are a writer, you might continue to behave like one. It becomes easier, maybe, to carve out writing time because now it's not just a new hobby that you're going to try and give up on later, similar to my foray into crocheting. It's a part of who you are. Even your inner critic starts to quiet down a little bit. Not all the way, at least not in my case, but we tone it down a little bit. This mindset work is really important, especially if you, similar to me, struggle with some things like executive dysfunction. At times, my ADHD, there are days, friends. There are days. Or maybe low energy or something like that. You need to set your mindset so that it can fuel your habits. You don't need to be perfect. You need to believe that you are allowed to take your writing seriously. Because when you see yourself as a writer, you are more likely to prioritize your writing time. You're more likely to protect your creative space. You are more likely to feel more confident in your goals, and you're more likely to achieve them. Your mindset matters. All right, I would like to do a little interactive exercise. And I know that I can't actually hear you, so maybe that'll make it better. I want to do a repeat after me exercise. Okay? It might feel silly, but I still want you to do it. Are you ready for this? I want you to repeat after me. I am a writer. My stories matter. I know some of you didn't say it because it feels awkward, so I want you to try again. All right. Even if it's silly, even if your brain rebels, even if claiming something like this feels so uncomfortable that you're like, what? And you're contemplating Xing out of this YouTube video. Repetition creates belief over time, but it works. You just have to be willing to practice. So I want you to say it again. I'm a writer. My stories matter. Okay. I want you to write that down. I want you to put it on a sticky note next to your computer or wherever you write. I want you to speak it out loud to yourself. I want you to put it in your bio on Instagram if that's what you want. I want you to claim this loudly. I don't want you to meekly whisper in the corner when no one's looking at you. I think I'm a writer. I don't want you to hide from the fact that you're a writer. I don't want you to sit there and be like, if it's okay with everyone else and like if it's all right, I think I'd like to call myself a writer, but If you don't think I am, I won't. No, you are a writer and your stories matter. And I want you to claim it and claim it loudly. Now, a lot of you might be like, Bekah, I can claim it, but I'm not really sure if it's true. So it just feels like a weird exercise and a little bit too loosey goosey, and I don't really like it. Okay, fair. Let's prove it to yourself then. I want you to provide evidence. Want some proof that you're a writer? Build your own writer resume. Yes, this will require yet another Google Doc on your desk. Or do it in AutoCrit if you'd like. Create a new project. You've been doing the work. I want you to take credit for it. Start listing out what you've written, even if it feels silly, even if it feels small. Your angsty high school poems, you're a writer. 20,000 words of fanfic. And I know for a fact we have fanfic writers in our community. I do not want you daring to say that you're not a writer after the work that goes into creating fanfic. Oh my gosh, it's incredible. That counts. Write it down. That ghost story that you wrote out for your niece for her birthday card when she had a birthday that was themed only campfire ghost stories. So you got really into it. Maybe just me. That counts. This isn't about impressing anyone. You're not going to share this with anyone. It's about showing yourself that you've already been doing the work. If you have articles out, maybe you have a blog, maybe you used to blog, but you don't anymore. Maybe you write really long social media posts that are about current events or about your feelings on things. How have you communicated with the world in written form? Now, this doesn't have to be fiction either. Maybe you're a technical writer. Maybe like me, you've written multiple HR manuals. Maybe you've written technical manuals. Maybe you're the entire reason why there's even an operations manual for your work. I don't know. Maybe you've written copy for marketing. Put it down. Okay? This is your writer's resume. This is proving to yourself that you can write, that you are a writer. So, tip number 2 is I want you to rethink the metrics. As we've been talking about this whole time, you're not less of a writer because you don't have a publishing deal yet, and you're not more of a writer with one. Okay? You don't need a bestseller award badge. You don't need an agent. You don't necessarily need external praise, although Lord knows we all crave it. The world loves measuring things. Right? Everything in our life is measured in some manner of speaking. We like to measure things by sales. We like to measure awards, followers, but writing at its core is a practice. It's not a contest. You're not less of a writer because you don't have a publishing deal yet. Let's reiterate that again. You are not more of a writer with one. You don't need any of these things. You need to show up. So maybe we should all be working on stopping chasing metrics that were never meant to define us and start honoring the work that we're already doing. Okay. So third tip is embracing your community. Being around other writers normalizes the journey, and I am probably biased, but we have a pretty fantastic community here at AutoCrit through our community forums and also in our Novel 90 teams. And I think personally, as a writer, one of the best things you can do is find your people. It's a rather solitary task when we think about actually writing. When I think about the fact that it's often 3 a.m, my whole household's asleep except for the cat, and I'm working my way through some sort of issue that I have with my work in progress, but I have a global community of authors. I pretty much guarantee that there's usually someone else up somewhere. So I can go through my Discord, or I can go through the forums and make a post, or I can look on my Facebook group chats and I can say, hey, I'm stuck on this dragon character. Does anyone want to brainstorm with me? Or, oh my gosh, the edits are taking so long. Whatever it is you want to do. Because being in community with other writers helps you realize that you're not just weird for having these ideas. You're not behind the curve or whatever it is that you've believed. You are just in it. You're just writing. You've embraced this somewhat silly and absolutely fascinating creative process. Everyone that you will encounter in your community will have had doubts at some point or currently. Every single one of them. Everyone will have felt stuck at one point or another. And sometimes hearing that and experiencing that solidarity and really understanding that you are not alone, that this is something that other writers are experiencing, that can feel like a game changer for a lot of people because I know I find myself being able to lean into it a little bit and being able to stop freaking out about silly things when I am surrounding myself with people who understand the writing life. And when you do that, even if you're a little unsure about whether or not you want to call yourself a writer, you are going to start seeing those parallels and those similarities. And I bet you're going to start believing that this writing life, it's your life too. So let's close this out with the knowledge that you are already a writer. Not when someone else says so, not when your life is perfectly organized, not when you publish a book. Now, you're a writer now. I want you to say it. I want you to believe it. I want you to own it. I want you to live like it. I want you to go forth and write because we need your stories and we need them not some random day in the future. We need them soon because only you can tell the stories that you have. So, I hope this has felt encouraging. I hope that this challenges your mindset if you've been struggling with the ability to call yourself a writer. And I hope you have an absolutely fantastic week ahead. Thanks for checking me out with this pep talk series. I'm so excited about it. There's so many more available if you missed a few that are on the playlist. So you can look down on YouTube, look for the playlist. You'll be able to watch all of them and have a wonderful rest of your week. Bye.